Okay, firstly, I am aware that there's a myth already called the Crooked Man, that holes speak the poem and he makes you kill yourself myth. What I'm about to tell you isn't that myth, but crooked is the only way I can describe what I say. I'm an officer for the London police force, so as you can imagine, I get called out a lot while on patrol. Now, I'll be the first to admit that I've seen some weird shit on the job. Shit like suicide by erotic asphyxiation. Their partner was understandably traumatized. Attempted murder via Christmas lights, and even a parent claiming a goblin took her child. The child was later found safe with the parent's brother after he became concerned for the child's safety around the parent. The call out that makes me lock the door at night, though, was actually a wellness check that led into many more of similar circumstances, none of them good. I remember it was around a week or two after Valentine's Day when I was asked to do a wellness check on an elderly resident after their neighbor hadn't heard anything from them in a while. It was an elderly woman of 79 years who was very active despite her age. She always called by her neighbors to say hello on her way home. So where she didn't call by for 2 weeks, the neighbor called the police out of concern. I knocked on her door but decided to enter when there was no response. I was immediately hit by the smell emanating from the small bungalow and had to fight just to not gag. I pressed on regardless, granted after covering my nose and mouth with my arm, and found the elderly woman in a large armchair, dead. I assumed she'd passed naturally until I found the multiple empty bottles of pills around her kitchen. This poor woman had lost her husband 3 years earlier to natural causes, but being alone for Valentine's had clearly just been too much, and she overdosed. Because this was 2 weeks after she died, her body had begun decomposing in the chair, hence the smell. This didn't affect me too much, because I'd had to deal with decaying suicide victims quite a few times before. Despite that, please seek help and support if you ever feel suicidal. It is not the answer, and there is someone out there to help you. Now, I turned to leave and radio it in, but I stopped dead in my tracks when I saw the door to her bathroom slowly opening. I knew it was closed because I'd closed it while performing the regular routine of checking the rest of the home. There was nothing strange in her bathroom when I checked, I'd like to add. But as the door slowly creaked open like it was a fucking horror film, I saw a man stood in the doorway, facing away from me. I just stood there, frozen with fear, because someone had just appeared in the bathroom. I eventually gathered my wits and choked out the words, "Sir, please turn around slowly so I can see your face." I was going to ask him how he got in, but he just stood there, motionless, like a statue. I slowly started to approach him, but he did suddenly start to move. Extremely slowly, but moving all the same. "Sir, how did you get in here?" But still no response. The noise I heard next still makes me shiver, even to this day, and despite everything I've seen as an officer. A deep cracking noise coming from the man, like that noise celery makes when you break it, but being made by this man's neck as it bent and warped until he was facing me. His head was upside down, staring at me, despite his body from the neck down not having moved an inch. His face was just, I don't even know how to describe it. It was even more unnatural than the fact that his neck should be broken at the 180-degree angle it had turned. His eyes were just sunken voids of emotion, and his smile stretched from ear to ear, filled entirely with crooked and rotten teeth. Before I could do anything else, though, the door just slammed shut with enough force to splinter the wood. Still shaking, I made my way back to my car and radioed in. When a cleanup crew arrived, they said there wasn't anything out of the ordinary with the bathroom, save for the splintered wood. The body was removed, the neighbor was informed, and the paperwork was filled, so everything went on as normal. But I just couldn't shake the feeling the crooked man wasn't just my fear making me paranoid. Since then, I've always heard that cracking noise and seen him out of the corner of my eye every time I find someone deceased after a call-out. I'm still with the force, and am currently awaiting a promotion, but the crooked man still stalks me at times of that. I apologize if this was a long story, but this is the only place I'll be believed for what I know I saw.